What about it, YouTube? All right, so just along the lines of being double fisted by our elected leaders, by our representative government, right? Oh, yeah, they just love us, right? So, the double fisting, let's talk about it. Money, fiat money. Everyone needs to relax. It's great. No problem. Price fixing a commodity is not going to solve any problems. We've been there, we've done that, we got gamed, we got played over and over again with that throughout history. Why you would want to go back to that ancient pain is beyond me. Austrian economics is AIDS, Ayn Rand is AIDS, Ron Paul is AIDS. Anyone that wants to peg a commodity to solve the economic problems is AIDS. Anyone who wants to promote scarcity in any kind of way, speaking of world economics, local economics, national economics, anyone who mentions scarcity in any kind of way is AIDS. Walk away. All right? So, what is money? What backs the dollar? What backs the dollar is your labor. And not just that, more importantly, is the resources behind your labor. Because for any work to get done requires resources. There's got to be a resource behind whatever it is that you do to make money. There had to be the resource in the car that took you to the job that you work. There had to be resources in the phone that you use at work. There had to be resources in the construction or whatever gets done. So your money is a placeholder of value that's backed by the resources available and the labor available to make things happen. And the money greases the skids of commerce so that everything can get squared up at the end of the day. There's no need to worry about fiat dollars. No need. It's not toilet paper. Resources are not toilet paper, and your labor is not toilet paper, so just stop it. Okay, so how are we being double-fisted? One more way that we're being double-fisted. There's been this argument over the years of capitalism versus socialism, right? When we have both in our system. And that's not bad. You should have both in your system. You should have a competitive playing field that seeks for innovation and progress in finding whatever it is that people can use that's usable and valuable, that has a public good. That there should be a system that promotes a competitive drive to get things done. So in that respect, capitalism is good. Where socialism is good, I'm sorry, Ayn Rand and her altruism garbage. Where altruism is good is there's enough power in fiat money to pay for things, to grease the skids for those who are disadvantaged in whatever way. So someone who is disabled can easily have his needs taken care of through social programs with the fiat dollar, because at the end of the day, he's just getting what he needs from the place that has it, that's ready and willing to sell it to him. Whatever it is he needs. If it's macaroni and cheese, if it's he's sick and needs to go to the doctor, whatever. In fact, everyone shares something in common, that we all have healthcare needs. So easily, Jimmy Dore, everyone could have those healthcare needs satisfied, and the check could get written out. Instead of going to Ukraine or whatever, you got to quit thinking about government spending as household spending and debt. It's not how it works. The government accepts this specie, the dollar, as tribute in taxes. That's all that needs to be known and done. That creates a demand for it right there. For you to engage in commerce, you're going to have to pay taxes. For you to pay taxes, you have to have this certain specie. For you to get this certain specie, you create commerce. It all comes back around in a circle and makes sense. So stop with the it's worthless stuff, please. So there's good things about socialism. There's good things about capitalism. And if we were honest about our system and the fiat dollar, both the socialist needs could be taken care of and the capitalist needs could be taken care of. The growth and innovation could be taken care of through capitalism. But instead of any angels being involved, in fact, back to Zog, right? Instead of any angels being involved trying to take what's good and bring them together and pair bond them and let them fruit, they take everything that could be bad about them. So whatever could be used to be bad and negative and adversary to good things, that's what they're doing. So the worst part of socialism would be to control resources and stifle resources, because that's going to cause economic problems. So when you see supply chain engineered collapse, and when you see artificial fuel prices being jacked up, and you hear all this stuff about green this, green that, and all these attacks on resources, when they say that resources are bad, they say that you're bad. And that's what they're saying, right? You breathe and create carbon, you're bad. So if you can't recognize the immediate aids in that, I mean, I'm sorry. If you're part of this green thing, you're running around with the most AIDS brain that ever lived. There's more than enough resources. There's more than enough potential for the labor to utilize those resources and to grow an economy and use a fiat dollar to do it. It's all there. But when you attack those resources, then you're bringing out the worst AIDS. And then the other worst AIDS you could do is not protect the jobs of the people in your nation by flooding it with outside labor brought in over the border or whatever. Flooding in illegals to do jobs. They used to say, like, oh, these are jobs nobody wants to do in America, and, you know, the migrant workers and stuff. And some of that might have qualified to make some sense at one point in history, but now it's at some kind of weird level. And then you have, at the same time, that the socialist crowd isn't protecting jobs that way. They're not really, and the unions, you don't really hear a whole lot of pushback and a whole lot of protecting jobs. On the other side of it, which I'm getting to, is the worst part of capitalism. The worst part of capitalism, first of all, would be monopolies. And you see that with BlackRock and whatever else is allowed to happen right now. So, the banks, they're talking about how all the small banks are going to get shut down. Oh, whoops, how did that happen? That wasn't engineered, was it? And they get swallowed up. So everything's going to start. And so how many people own the media right now? It's like 6 people with small hats. And, you know, how many people own this and control this? And how many? It's all being concentrated. That's the worst part of capitalism. And back to Ayn Rand's arguments, she did make good arguments there. Cronyism is bad in capitalism, obviously. And only the good old boys get anywhere because they've all created a protection racket of monopolies. So that's bad and evil. And then the other thing that shares in the left, not protecting the jobs, is automation. And the AI and the robots are going to take everybody's job. Okay, something's got to fill that gap. So you could argue UBI or a socialist program that would fill that gap. It makes sense. In an odd way, it makes sense. It's better to keep people busy because idle hands are the work of the devil. But it makes sense. There's nothing wrong with UBI if that's what you want to do to fill the gap of automation, filling jobs, and not having things for people to do necessarily. But in an honest world, you could probably do the automation and still find jobs if you just opened up the resources. Okay, so one hand can either serve the other or one hand can strangle the other. Okay? And right now we have both hands strangling each other as they double fist you. That's what we have. So let your representative government know how impressed you are with Zog and what they're up to. All right. God bless.